Thank you. I'll stop signing. The board has returned from executive session. No actions were taken. Let's all rise for, wait, I need a motion to go to public first. May I have a motion to go to public session, please? Kate? Second, Heather. All in favor? Thank you. All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. So we are now going to do appointments on page 1. We're going to appoint one,
Not two.
just one,
Jennifer.
Jennifer,
We're gonna strike.
and we will strike appointment number 2.
Do number 3, Susan.
And number 3, we will, okay, so we're doing 1 and 3 and 4, and we have a walk-on as
Yes,
well.
We'll do the walk. Yes,
right.
walk, yes.
Michelle Lipensky,
For assistant principal.
assistant principal for the high school at a prorated salary to be published in the minutes
The minutes,
tomorrow.
Yes.
So first take a motion to.
Can we have a motion
walk-on,
to,
for the walk-on.
for the walk-on? May I have a first? Kate, second. Heather, any questions? All in favor? Thank you. All right, do I need to take a motion to remove number 2? Or
Yes.
May I have a motion to remove number 2? Heather, second. Kate, any questions? All in favor? May I now take them as a slate? I think I can.
can take-
Okay,
yeah,
so I would
so-
like to take all appointments, 1 through 4, plus a walk-on as a slate. May I have a first? Lisa, second. Heather, any questions? All in favor? Thank you.
Great.
Okay. Other matters.
So we approved this contract
Yes.
at the last board meeting. We just had left off the page that said they will also be doing their presentations at the junior, senior high school and West Side. It was just an oversight.
Thank you. Okay. And then item number 6 is the board goals discussion. The board goals had been discussed at our retreat this summer.
1 second now, it's just, we need a motion to accept the other matters.
Oh, may we have a motion to accept other matters? Heather, second. Lisa, any questions? All in favor?
Great.
Thank you.
Now board goals.
So our board goals were being built off of last year's board goals with the idea that we will update all of them to move them forward for this school year as they are multi-year goals. They are all going to have a SMART goal plan behind them, and we are also going to propose that we add on to the board goal doing a community third-party survey to take the temperature of the Cold Spring Harbor community as requested last year and this year by numerous board members. Does anyone have additional comments on the proposed board goals?
I have a question. On the survey, is that going to include parents, students, and faculty, or is it just,
That was, I think, the intention.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and administration.
good, very
Yes,
good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the idea was to use an outside third-party service for this to remove any.
Great.
And I already
yeah.
spoken with 3 firms who do this professionally, they do for a living, and they could show us their scaffolding, and if we want to add any questions that are specific to Cold Spring Harbor, we definitely can. And they could norm some of our questions to questions they ask across the nation to see, are we in line, are we not in line with how other districts are performing?
Excellent.
So there's no bias, right?
Right.
They work completely out, yeah.
It's fully anonymous?
We could work that, we could be as anonymous, if you want to ask someone, do you have students in this building? or be completely anonymous whatsoever. So we could be as specific or as anonymous as we want.
Will
Yeah.
it be done electronically or if anonymously through paper?
You know, I didn't ask that question. I'm sure they could do it via paper, but it was assumed to be electronic.
Okay.
And so just to recap, since we don't have the goals up right now, but the goals were to, continue to improve our Cold Spring Harbor ranking on Long Island and in New York State, which we know is a multi-year process, to improve college placement and process. We actually hired a great new director of guidance this summer as part of this multi-year goal. So we're excited about that, but that's obviously also a multi-year process. Creating a strategic hiring and retention plan, which I know, Joe, you've done a great, that's what this,
This is working with Candace.
right,
We did
thank
a
you,
lot of work
along
on
with
it.
Candace, and we hired Candace
Yes, very
also.
good hire.
Candace Brody, Dr. Candace Brody, who's put together a wonderful hiring plan for us and has already done quite a significant amount of hiring. So we look forward to continuing that solid work. Identifying priorities, we'll update this, Christine, to say the 25-26 budget. And I know that next week, Christine, Joe, and I are going to the Ed Foundation meeting as well to talk to them about budgeting and to
And
talk
lots of
about,
other things,
yes, other priorities that may come up. And then we had here implement a year-end Board of Education goal review of our goal achievement. So that is something that we will continue to have there to hold ourselves accountable as
Very good.
well. So I know this is something that we discussed at our summer retreat, and the idea was to keep it the same for this upcoming year, as these goals were multi-year
Very much so.
multi-year goals. So it's a lot of work ahead of us. Does anyone have any questions, comments, additions? No.
Is this the place we would talk about a language add or no? And the goals to add a language?
Would you like to?
We were going to, new courses would be at the November, I think it'll be,
Yeah.
not that if you want to bring up, you can.
I thought
but
we were
that's-
doing this tonight.
We could,
So
No?
wait, we can actually, if you don't, we could table, we could complete the board goals, and we then always have a discussions portion of the
Oh.
board meeting. So why don't we do that? Because I think we actually may be able to just achieve that, and then we don't have to make that a
Understood.
multi-year goal. Although I do think, Mark, in a lot of ways, that idea that you just brought up probably will help a lot of these goals, right?
Mhm.
It helps, right? Speaking multiple languages helps to improve student
Absolutely.
performance. It helps with the college placement process, right? Certainly,
there's more choice for what the students want to take.
yeah, I think it helps to enhance our goals for sure. So why don't we, if everyone's in agreement with these goals for this upcoming year, I think we should accept them, or take a motion to accept them, because we need to get moving on them. So is everyone in agreement? Yes, okay. Do I need to take a motion to adopt the goals? I'll take first to adopt the goals. Heather, a second. Kate, any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Great, okay. And then in other discussion topics, Mark, you have proposed that we potentially add a third language?
Yes, based on community input, the addition of a third language in the district would be a welcomed idea from discussions I've had, so putting it before the board.
Jen, do you think if we add a third language that it will hurt the current French program, or do you think it will just balance out the number of students who currently take Spanish?
It potentially could hurt the French program because the students would have to go somewhere. So whenever you open up a new course
Right.
and you're not taking something off the table, it has the potential of classes not running. And that has always been a problem here, which is why we moved for some of our courses that are every other year courses, so that we don't run the risk of classes not running that students are interested in taking. Not to say that a third language would be something that's running on alternate years, that would not work. However, we would need to look more into that in terms of the program. I'd need to speak with our world languages chairperson as well.
Is
Could it-
there,
oh.
sorry, is there the possibility for students in their schedules to take more than one language also? If students are really proficient in a language and wanted to add, for example, Italian or Latin to their course load, that would be something that would be possible.
Or add the third language as an elective, maybe?
We've had a third language before, which was, at my time, it was Latin. We do have some students now who take two languages. It's not many, but we do have, and Latin was one of them. And it's something we would, as you said, as Jen said, we all said, they have to come from somewhere. So, some of our smaller language classes may become much smaller. We don't know where people are gonna go. Will they usually gravitate, because right now it's either Spanish or French. So where will they come from? We'll have to see. So there will be, there's no doubt there will be an increase in FTE because of how the numbers break. I would
Right.
think in some areas, yes, some maybe will wash out, and it will take some time to work in. You're gonna start in the 7th grade, then go to 8th grade and 9th grade. We're gonna need to find people who are multi-language certified, because the first year, they're gonna be 1 or 2 sections of Italian, maybe 3. I don't know exactly, but what else are they teaching? So on and so forth. So those are some of the challenges we have to work at. We just have to find what the right language we'd want to do, but I think it's an exciting venture to investigate.
Another idea is to survey families, just to be proactive and to think about, one,
think we're doing
having
that.
a third language, and two, if there were to be a third language, what would they be most interested in? I've also spoken to families who brought up ASL, for example, as another option. So that could be something that we look into, is surveying families.
Now, the ASL, you can do that online too, is that right? For students, I believe in some schools, students who have a language waiver or an accommodation can do that in place of another language. Do we allow that here at Cold Spring Harbor, or not currently?
No one has
just-
come forward with that.
So if they have a language waiver, if a student has there must be.
Well, there
student-
would be an exemption, which means they
right,
wouldn't
yes,
need a.
right. So they don't
wouldn't-
need a language.
They would not be
right.
taking a
But so then
language.
sometimes students can take American Sign Language, which is what ASL
We-
is. If you didn't
We,
know.
we have partnered with Nassau BOCES for some of their online
Okay.
I'm going to say it
courses.
depends.
It
So
depends,
it
and I don't know if they
depends
offer
on
it.
what the institution is, and there's, there
Right.
are transfer credit clauses, for example, but again, we'd need to look into the institution. The principal would need
Right.
to approve that, so there would be several approval steps
Okay.
in place for something like that. But if a student had an exemption, they wouldn't be.
They don't have to take a language, but then sometimes students will want to take one, and
Of
that's a good
course, yeah.
option.
Right.
Yeah.
And ASL is also a nice, elective type. You can do a year
Yeah.
or two of it and to get the foundation
Yes.
done.
Yeah.
How would an addition of a third language be a detriment to French? Explain the math, please.
So right now, we have we have lower enrollment in French than we do in Spanish. And sometimes those classes are running very small, sometimes such that we've had to co-seat. So for example, when you think about, I'll use French 3 and French 3 honors as an example. So in prior years, they were able to run as 2 separate courses because we had enough students interested in both French 3 and French 3 honors. Well, because of some changes that have been happening, maybe we only have 4 students who are interested in French 3 and everyone else is interested in French 3 honors. So you're not running a class with 4 students, so we've been co-seating. So because of the lower enrollment in French, with the addition of a third language, students now may be interested in that language as opposed to French or Spanish. It doesn't have to be French. And so now students you're taking students away from that group and moving them somewhere else. It's lowering the enrollments in those other courses. So now you run the risk of those courses not running.
So if French is becoming unpopular to take? Maybe you keep Spanish and pick up 2 new
Well,
languages.
there's
I don't
two
wanna say it's-
sections
yeah.
there's 2 sections of French in 7th grade
They-
right
I would
now.
say
We
so.
finish that, but, I mean, why are we staying with a language?
No,
if-
it's not, there's still interest. It's just that we also offer, unlike some other school districts, we still offer levels of these languages. And
Okay.
some schools have, they keep all the students together. So because we have these multiple levels, so we still have a significant portion of our students who are
Okay.
interested in French. However, with the multiple levels, we haven't had the interest in both levels equally, which has caused us to co-seat
Okay.
some of those courses. So in any small school district, when you start introducing new courses, again, we only have so many students here, right? And they have to go somewhere. So they're
It's
moving
like
from
adding
one
another
to another.
sport could take away from
Correct.
how many kids
And
field
there's
a
that
team,
natural
right?
ebb and flow. It's, we've had as much as 6%,
yeah.
40%, 60% being Spanish, and we've had as much as 85, 90%, 10%, 15%. And then if you look at our current 11th grade, which is just over 100 students, if you're 10%, that's 10 kids or 11 kids. It's a small, and then we split into honors, it gets even smaller. And there's a point where small classes are good, except when they're too small and you want to have conversations and learning from each other. That's a challenge in foreign language. You don't want a class of 4 for learning a language.
And that,
You're not conversing.
in that case, in the 11th grade, most of the students are honors students. There's
Correct.
only a few students who are not honors.
And I have to say, we are a small school district, and we do a lot of magic here. I'll use art as an example. The art department works very hard to co-seat as many things as possible, so students are still able to take what they want to take, but there's a lot of differentiated instruction that's taking place in the class. So it's amazing what we're able to accomplish with, as I said, as you know, with the enrollment of students that we have. But we always have to be mindful when we're looking to add something. We have to think about, is it running every other year? If we're adding something in, is something coming off the table? Because we know the kids are going to come from somewhere. So
Okay.
that's all.
Right, and if Italian becomes their language, we have to finish it through so they could get their state assessments, well, their Flax A and Flax B.
So are we going to poll the community, or are
Could
we?
easily-
I
That's
love
easy-
the idea of
easy
doing
enough
that,
to do. That's
right?
simple to
I
do.
mean, especially because new courses meeting is coming up, right? Is it too soon to just survey people and say, would you be interested in adding a?
Well,
Yeah.
let me,
Yeah,
if
think it
I
through.
just, if I could first please talk to our director, our
Jen, the
chairperson
10 minutes
of
notice on this
That's right.
wasn't
our
enough?
chairperson
Wait,
of
it's
world
not done
languages
yet?
and the department. I think
Right.
they would be grateful if we could just
Yeah,
touch
that
base.
seems
Yeah.
fair. That seems reasonable. Okay, thank you.
And, yeah, the poll would be two-part. One, do we want to add a third? And if so, and then fill in the blank.
I'd be
Yeah.
right. I'd be
Yeah.
curious what the interest is. And you mentioned Italian. I've also heard ASL. So I guess it depends on
Right.
who you're talking
Well, I
to.
just want
Right,
to make
and the
clear
Latin
that
always
wasn't
comes
my, I don't want to say, people say, no, people have brought that up to me and I passed it along, but I've been asking people about their interest in adding a third language in the district, and everybody that I've talked to is in favor of it. What that language is, I'm certainly open to. I am not saying Italian.
I know you're not
Right.
advocating for a particular language. Recently, someone also came to me about the possibility of Mandarin. So, listen, it would be great if we could offer,
All of them.
even more than 3 languages here. So, I don't think anyone would be opposed. It's just a matter of the structure that we have in place.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. Okay. Well, with that, I think we've reached the best part of the meeting, which is a motion to adjourn. After so much work was done tonight. All right. Lisa, Heather, all in favor? Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you,
everyone.
JT.
Yes.